The 88th Texas legislature is well underway, and as you might expect, several thousand bills have already been filed. Some good, some bad, and some worth talking about. The sheer number of bills makes it hard for many Texans to keep up, but don't worry, TPPF is doing its part to help you stay informed by bringing you the policies and the policymakers who are working to advance the cause of liberty. This is The Layout. I'm James Quintero, Policy Director for the Government for the People campaign, and today I'm with Representative Carl Tepper, who hails from House District 84. Representative, welcome to the show.
Thanks, James. Good to be here.
Today we're going to be talking about HB 1279, a bill to change how extraterritorial jurisdictions work. But before we get into too far into the bill, let's talk a little bit about what an extraterritorial jurisdiction is and what problem we're aiming to solve.
Well, I don't want to go too far back, but the legislature established extraterritorial jurisdictions for cities in the anticipation that these cities would expand beyond their borders. They would annex over time and get bigger, and this would help them plan. A couple of sessions ago, the legislature severely limited their ability to annex property and land outside the city limits. And so this is sort of a follow-up. My bill is sort of a follow-up to their disability to be able to annex and stretch out beyond their city borders. So what we're trying to do is pull back some of the extraterritorial jurisdiction these cities have. Most of the authority that we're concerned about of these we call them the ETJs for short. One of the problems, and probably the biggest problem we're having with these ETJs, is their ability to project their zoning into outside the city limits and to affect the platting of a property. So if you have a warehouse, you want to build another warehouse or such, and the zoning doesn't meet that criteria of the city, you wouldn't be allowed to build there. Now, the problem with that is you're not in the city limits anyway. So why do they have this jurisdiction? So that's one of the things we're trying to rein in.
Good, and I know we touched on it a little bit, but can we talk a little bit about how the bill would work if it were enacted?
You know, I believe in the bumper sticker version, James, and so to keep it simple, right now cities of 100,000 and over have 5 miles of ETJ. I think if they're 50,000 and over, they have 3 miles, and so forth and so on to the small cities. So what I did simply was take the existing language, cross out the 5 miles, and put in a half a mile. Mm-hmm. And so this way I thought it would be reasonable enough that the cities can have some control over their borders and some reasonable requirements, but free up so many property owners and their platting ability.
Mm-hmm. And on that issue, how do you see the average Texan benefiting from the passage of this legislation?
Yeah, this is definitely an insider baseball type of thing. Mm-hmm. The people who have property inside these ETJs are very frustrated. They have been for years. And the municipalities have always been viciously defensive and protective of their borders and their extraterritorial jurisdictions. So this is one of those, annoying little issues in life in Texas that most Texans don't really realize is going on out there. But the landowners out there absolutely know what's going on, and they're looking for some help.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the cities would say, well, if HB 1279 were put into effect, this would somehow curtail a city's ability to control growth and development beyond its borders. How would you respond to that?
Yes, that's what we're very happy about. We're very happy to tell them that we're limiting their control. This was the sort of attitude and the sort of spirit that led to the House and the Senate and the legislature to keep them from being able to annex property outside their city limits, and especially here in Austin, where we're sitting right now. There are places like Circle C and places beyond Westlake where the city was just annexing over time, and the property owners were very frustrated and angry. They didn't want to be part of the city of Austin. They wanted to have their own lifestyle out there. So since their annexation has been essentially stripped from the cities, unless it's voluntary, and you'll have that on occasion. You'll have a developer who will want to build a neighborhood of single-family housing or commercial development, and they'll ask the city to go ahead and annex them, and they will hammer out a deal for infrastructure, sewer, water, roads. And so, but besides the voluntary thing, this is America and this is Texas. People like their freedom, and they want to be able to vote whether they're going to be annexed or not. And this extraterritorial jurisdiction is one of those lingering things that wasn't finished when they limited their ability to annex.
Last question. What's the feedback you've gotten on this bill? I know there's a couple of good coalitions out there, like the Texas City Limits Coalition, which is very much interested in ETJ reform. Have you had any good feedback?
No, please get them in touch with me. I'd like to hear someone. I'd like to hear someone who's with us. I've heard from some other legislators who have been struggling with this issue. They've tried to eliminate these ETJs over 2 or 3 sessions now to no avail. This morning we had some concern by the Department of Defense. They're looking for some help around. They feel like the ETJs help them around their military installations, and we're going to work with them to limit that. I was working with Representative Mike Schofield, who has some similar bills and some similar ideas about the ETJs. And we're not rivals. We want to work together. And so Representative Schofield and I got on the phone with the Department of Defense, listened to their concerns, and we intend to address them. Besides that, we know that there's some groundswell of, again, it's insider baseball. There's a few people who are being affected by this, but they deserve some justice too, and we're going to try to give it to them.
That's excellent. Thank you, Representative. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, fun. Thank you.